No, it cannot be, but it is. 4:10 a.m. 5 to 5:30, wonderful. The routine opened the shades to welcome another day to be alive and take Charlie Rose, my dog, for a relieving short stroll. Turned on Morning Joe and sipped my coffee. Give thanks for all of the above and begin hopping. And there is much to hop on at last. But at 4:10, so be it. For some time, I've been disturbed by the vagueness of attitudes in our midst. Moaning and groaning, but seemingly little energy around acting on the groans and the moans. And we know what that's all about. We talk about it, we chat about it, we call friends and talk more, but where is the action with it? But there's a change in the air. If this past week is any indication, we must get on our hiking boots, choose a path, and there are several options, join the assembled community or assemble one if needed and move on it. If there ever was a time when empowerment opportunities are present in large numbers, it is now. If there was ever a time when the distilling vagueness and silent desperation, it is now. There is a comfort in numbers, and numbers of new voices are up. Just listen to your neighbors, the conversation in the grocery store, the TV moguls, and so forth. Times are changing. Concerns are greater. The times are now. There is comfort in numbers, for numbers of new voices are up. Way up. There are two who darkened a surprise on my door a couple Sundays ago. Two new voices. The knock was loud and persistent. The first was a former colleague. He paced up and down, wanted to vent now. Yes, now. He was lamenting his exhaustion and utter frustration at fighting the institution. Fighting the institution. Yes, he was lamenting for sure. And I said to him, wait a minute, don't fight the institution, stop fighting. It will get you nowhere. Institutions are here to stay. We all are a part of one or another someplace. We know about institutions. The trick is to learn how to collaborate with an institution to get your issue addressed. And address obstacles that are standing in the way of creating a more relevant environment for addressing realities of the day. In his eyes, in this place, the institution where he is employed, a major mandate so to love, he was feeling little of it. His voice wasn't being responded to, and he had a sense of worthlessness. I told him there's always a tension between an institution and its value system, and the individuals within the institution, their insights and personal values. So a tool is needed to help us unravel these situations, and we're in them now. We're in them now. All of a sudden, you're in a transition. It's exciting. It's mind-boggling sometimes what all has to happen to make a change, a transition, but it's exciting. Our values in this place are being listened to by your search committee. A tool, they are part of the toolbox. I was many years ago by a CEO of a large corporation who asked, what's your process for this consultancy? That night, I spent a great deal of time developing the process steps I thought were necessary for problem solving for institutions and individuals in times of change. Here's an idea for a workable process. See what you think. Now, this is for personal reasons as well as institutional reasons. This is the institution, and you are the individuals. So all of us need to listen. First of all, gather all information you possibly can about the issue that you're facing and the people facing it. Do in-depth checks beyond saying, well, we've always done it this way. We've always had this kind of person. We always did in the past tense. It was done this way. These are the ways it must be happening now. Secondly, listen actively to the people using your full body, a focused mind, and an openness to the Spirit. And you're in the midst of it, friends. You're in the midst of listening and waiting to hear and being very alert and aware of the fact that this holy place is in transition. That's exciting. It's also a little scary, but we knew what was, and now we're going to know what is and what will be. And that's not always the easiest thing to go through. So listen actively to the people that are talking to you. Learn what is appropriate in the future, today and tomorrow, and what may come later. Learn to honor communication differences. Some people respond with immediate passion. I don't want a woman. I don't want a man. I don't want an 85-year-old. I don't want a 20-year-old. They'll yell out exactly how they feel. They feel very passionate about each of those kinds of things. And you must be willing to listen, because we all have passions, and some of us are able to speak to the passions more easily than others. So we listen carefully to what other people say in hopes that they will respond with passion in what I feel and you feel. 4, with whom is it appropriate to approach with discussion on this issue? Who might be open to hearing concerns, and how can you best approach that person? You may have in your mind exactly who needs to come in here and be your priest and give you guidance and so forth, and listen to you and be present with you. You've got that in your head. Wonder who else has something else in their head. So we have to listen very carefully and look people in the eye. These are important days. These are crucial days for this place. Discern the ultimate importance of compromise. Compromise is the most important piece of accommodation in problem solving. So listening to the other person and maybe asking a few questions. Now, did I hear you say? That's a famous one, but you know it works. Then they think, well, she is listening, but she didn't hear what I said because she's deaf, so I've got to say it again. Or, to pick up in your mind what is important to do, in order for us to have a good communication. Choose the piece of the issue that touches you, your deepest value system. I bet if I asked each one of you, you might have different values, different things that you thought are the most important. You with children would think one kind of thing is the most important value to be looking at right now. You with the white hair, something else might be the most important thing. Compromise by listening to each other. That way you will know what the community is feeling. Chip away at the least crucial pieces of the issue, like hearsay. I heard so-and-so say da 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 da. Oh, really? I heard so-and-so say, oh, yucky, 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 yucky. You heard the same person. You heard two different things. For us to communicate with one another, to keep this place holy and filled with commitment and joy, we have to learn to listen carefully to each other. Check who is participating in this discussion. Often, millennials and Gen Xers speak briskly and head for the core of the issue immediately, whereas boomers and beyond often want to converse and make a play date out of the conversation. Just sit and listen to each other. Don't be offended in either situation. Take a deep breath, shift your energy, and set your boundaries. State the bottom line for you. Defend your reasoning and let the process do the rest. Remember, the process may take time, and you may not have an answer immediately. So we took the process, the pieces of his issue, and worked through them that Sunday afternoon. We worked through the process. When he got to compromise, it was fairly easy for him to brush away the least important pieces. He was finally able to clarify what his main issue was all about. We talked about letting go and trusting process. He was satisfied that he knew his next step. We shared a big hug. He is such a fine man, with such commitment. I offered that he might commit some of his deep caring to himself. He was so worried about so many other things. What was happening to him as a person? He said goodbye. The door closed. His lesson was to learn to use a tool for clarification. His emotional response was getting in the way of a victorious decision. Literally, this is a true story, though. 20 minutes later, there was a second knock on this Sunday afternoon. A surprise and a 2-hour conversation. Frustration about the institutional life, again. The church and all its problems and what happens and what gets in the way of the Holy Spirit within them because of all the chaos and so forth. 20 minutes later, the second knock came. Frustration about the institutional life, again, and individual visions about the values of this institution and personal insights. The passion for the history of the institution she was concerned about, and the exciting insights she had gleaned from her fact-checking. What commitment, what clarity. Now, to whom to present the ideas and how to do it. This gal was filled with passion about what she thought would make this particular parish really committed and exciting and passionate and fun. Now, to whom to present these ideas and not get in trouble doing it. Use the process tool. She came up with a fun way to gently approach the issue using talents and passions of others. That institution will have fun with this initial compromising approach. Again, from my perspective, her lesson was to trust her voice and risk thinking in out-of-the-box ways to introduce her vision in a non-threatening way. She did it. She pulled it off, and that church has never been the same since. It has changed amazingly and grown. Very, very exciting. So 4 glasses of lemonade, 2 alive, impassioned individuals, 2 very different institutions, and 2 people who chose to increase their personal empowerment by using an empowerment process tool. What a gift to me. Can I go back now? Of course now. Charlie, my dog, was up by that time, so it was time for a stroll. I recognize there is not a whole bit of humor in this story, but it is true, and it did happen. I haven't lost my humor, but it has a bit submerged with the chaotic expressions in our cultures right now. Sometimes I feel the process is even more important than usual for us to keep our minds clear and our focus with intention and struggle for balance in our lives. I know I'm not alone. All I have to do is meet my neighbor next door where I live, and she has an issue, and she knows what's going on every place. So she has issues to discuss and feelings to express to somebody. So I know it's true. It's a chaotic, intriguing time right now, but it calls for less chatter and more intentional collaboration. Speaking our voices is crucial. If it ever was really crucial, it is now. I find myself getting angry that I am too old to participate in some of the events that call us all together. But respond to what we read, and we will use it the best we can. We need to do more and more and more listening. We need to do more and more simply. I think I talked last week about smiling. We need to do more and more, smiling, sure, but also listening carefully and looking a person in the eye, because it's going to say to them, what I feel, wow, what I feel she thinks is important. And that person will talk more and more, and the opportunity for a binding relationship is ripe. And we all want a binding relationship with people. So sometimes we get in our own way by backing off and being silent. So this week I'm saying, don't be silent, for Pete's sake. Do not be silent. Speak up. Speak up wildly and with great enthusiasm. Your voice is oh so important right now. Not the voice on the TV, and there's no Colts game this afternoon, am I right? I think so. So there's no excuse for thinking thoughts and sharing them with other people. We're just bare ourselves. Take advantage of it. It's a beautiful, rainy, soft day. The trees are colors are changing. The seasons are changing. This place is in transition. Grab that transition and live with it. Talk to others and listen carefully. That's how this place will find the right leadership for it, from you, from what you think and feel. Nobody else but this community. So live with it and enjoy it. Last week, smile. This week, listen. Love. Amen.